The miracle of life has time and again served as a handy tool to quite literally breathe new life into TV shows and series past their prime. After most of the initial character arcs and plots have been completed and the story threatens to grind to a halt, the impending birth of a child can re-establish the momentum of the show. I have seen this happen more and more frequently in smaller shows as well as major ones, and it works best when you least expect it. When I say unexpected pregnancy, I'm not referring to any teenage pregnancy movies that center the whole plot around the issue. I'm talking about instances where a pregnancy unforeseen by the viewer and other characters is revealed and thus acts as a dramatic device. This is so effective because the implications and consequences of a pregnancy immediately pop up in the viewer's mind, setting a whole thought process in motion on what this will mean for the future of our beloved characters. I have found that this phenomenon in particular often occurs when used to resolve complicated storylines and character dynamics spun over the course of several episodes or even seasons. It catches the audience by surprise and serves as a backdoor escape for writers who have written their characters into a corner. In drama theory, this is called Deus ex machina, and it describes the following. Deus ex machina is a plot device whereby a seemingly unsolvable problem in a story is suddenly and abruptly resolved by an unexpected and unlikely occurrence. Its function can be to resolve an otherwise irresolvable plot situation, to surprise the audience, to bring the tale to a happy ending, or act as a comedic device. So, in recent years, unexpected pregnancy has undoubtedly been the favorite Deus ex machina of screenwriters for TV series. Let's just look at some examples together. In the season 2 finale of Mad Men, the protagonist's wife Betty Draper finds out she's pregnant following an even more unexpected love scene of the squabbling couple. This message comes at a time of great turmoil for the characters as their marital problems in response to Don Draper's infidelity reach new heights. It has not gotten to the brink of divorce yet, but Betty bans Don from the house, leading to uncertainty over the fate of the two. The news of her father's stroke brings the couple back together to put on a good face, which ultimately leads to their rekindling and conception of a child. With abortion being out of the question for a woman of her means, she has to accept her dependence on her cheating husband for the sake of the child. Thus, their dispute seems to have been settled and the viewer is given the promise of a happy ending, which concludes season 2. This false promise is quickly subverted in season 3 when Betty's unhappiness begins to flare up again after childbirth, showing that the child did not alleviate the difficulties of the couple, but perhaps exacerbated them. The effect has worked just well enough to suspend the conflict for the time separating the two seasons and present the audience with a surprising and promising season finale. The Deus ex machina represented by the pregnancy in this case was used to resolve the marital conflicts of the couple. In season 7 of Game of Thrones, the evil queen Cersei famously declares to her lover and twin brother Jaime that she is pregnant with his child. After all 3 of their children have died, this is the last thing that the audience would have expected. Queen Cersei was a ruthless ruler and ignorant towards the impending threat posed by the White Walkers in the north. The chances of her teaming up with Daenerys Targaryen and Jon Snow seemed slim up to that point. Her pregnancy, however, may make her more open to discussions about a truce in her brother Tyrion's estimation. In his mind, expecting a child gives her something to live for, again after the death of her children. This proves to be an important consideration which directly informs the military course of action taken by Daenerys and her allies. While the audience continues to speculate over the veracity of the pregnancy claim, Cersei uses it to manipulate Euron Greyjoy by claiming that the child is his. In the end, Tyrion appears to be right about his sister's newfound purpose when she surrenders the capital to Daenerys peacefully. The conflict alleviated here by the pregnancy Deus ex machina is a military conflict. Of course, we never get to see how her pregnancy plays out due to the infamous ending, but there was apparently a scene filmed which was later cut that depicts Cersei having a miscarriage. Therefore, the pregnancy remains nothing more than a dramatic device. Whether or not book author George R.R. Martin decides to take the same route with her character in the books remains a mystery for now. At the end of the second season of the Netflix series 13 Reasons Why, Bryce Walker's girlfriend Chloe confesses to Jessica that she is pregnant with Bryce's child. Given Chloe's circumstances and Bryce's problematic character, he is a rapist, the viewer is dumbfounded and emotionally confused. We learn earlier in this season that Chloe was also unconsciously raped by Bryce before becoming his girlfriend, and the growing tensions between the two due to the revelations in the court case concerning Hannah Baker's suicide caused the audience to be torn on what Chloe should do. We are confronted with the possibility of abortion and forced to decide whether the father's depravity and the mother's hardship are enough to justify it. This also acts as a cliffhanger for the next season, leaving the audience to ponder this moral conundrum. As we learn at the start of season 3, Chloe's pregnancy storyline leads into a bonding moment when Zach Dempsey supports Chloe in her decision to abort the child. This is shown in a dramatic moment to the viewer and solidifies Zach and Chloe's friendship. As we find out at the end, this becomes quite relevant on the night of Bryce's death, who is furious about his ex-girlfriend and Zach's bonding and decides to injure Zach on the field. Zach finds him to take revenge and immobilizes him, leading up to Bryce's demise. This Deus Ex Machina has the main purpose of a cliffhanger, but it also puts the viewer in the position of a moral dilemma, rather creating a conflict than resolving one. Nevertheless, until we find out about Chloe's decision, we are left with the impression that the conflict between her and Bryce has been superficially suspended by the pregnancy, making it another example of the dramatic device. Another instance where the pregnancy Deus Ex Machina serves as a cliffhanger is at the end of season 2 of the Netflix show You.
I'm pregnant.
In the season finale, the stalker/serial killer protagonist Joe finds out that his new love interest named Love appears to have the same kind of protective homicidal tendencies as him. As she reveals her true face to him, he acts compassionate while plotting to kill her. As he goes in for the killing blow, she stops him by revealing that she is pregnant. Joe, remembering his traumatic childhood, freezes and lets her go. This is probably the most accurate definition of a Deus Ex Machina moment in TV because the seemingly inevitable situation is averted by the most surprising and unexpected revelation possible. Although the situation in question is not inconceivable to the viewer, we are forced to concede that this possibility has slipped our mind. And it has done so because the producers of the show have not cued us to think about it. We never for a second wonder if the risk of pregnancy is present in this scenario because it does not seem to matter for the characters and the plot. But this is how the Deus Ex Machina works. The writers purposely disguise the plot twist they have reserved for the showdown by leading our minds to other aspects of the story, which allows the twist to hit us with all its force. While this cliffhanger provides an easy link to lead into the upcoming third season of the show, we also can't help but wonder if Joe would have killed Love if it hadn't been for this revelation. It urges us to empathize with the characters and look more closely into what drives them. If the writers look for a Deus Ex Machina and they ask themselves the question, what would be the only possible way to avert a seemingly inevitable situation with this character? They have to lay bare who the character is in its deepest core. In doing so, we can learn a lot about the character, but we can also stop to think about what drives us. What would it take for us to go against our own nature? For Betty Draper and Cersei, the nurturing mother within them outweighed their need for triumph. Chloe's compassion was overpowered by her desperation and her disgust for Bryce, and Joe refused to go through with his plan because he was overcome by the desire to right his own parents' wrongs. As we know from countless Hollywood blockbusters, there's endless ways to do a Deus Ex Machina. We all know the last-second rescue trope we have seen thousands of times and which still had us at the edge of our seats every time. The reason why the unexpected pregnancy is so suitable for the TV show format is of course that TV shows are able to follow up on the surprise revelation and do not rely on a quick resolution because they're much longer than most films. We can observe the consequences and, more importantly, anticipate them. It is one of the most effective tools to create a cliffhanger for a season finale and make sure that the audience comes back for the next season. Personally, I'm curious to see how Love's pregnancy proceeds, or also the unexpected pregnancy cliffhanger of Gene Milburn in Sex Education. We are yet to see what purpose it serves in the grand scheme of things, but for now it has us hooked for the next season. The purpose of the Deus Ex Machina can vary. It can be used to surprise, de-escalate, and shock at the same time. More often than not, it is used as a convenient plot device to up the ante in shows where characters are faced with ever higher stakes. Considering all this, it is important to make sure that it does not come across as cheap or fabricated. You can identify a good Deus Ex Machina if it is the result of careful writing and not lazy writing, and you feel like you would have been able to come to the same conclusion if you had been given the opportunity to consider what the writers have tried to conceal from you. What is more, if it is properly done, it can be a very introspective experience for the viewer because it prompts you to look into your own psyche. So the next time when you see a seemingly inevitable situation on TV, go and ask yourself this: what would it take to change this scenario if this was me?